Hey everybody, Robbie Falk here from Disharoon Park at Davenport Field. I'm staring straight. I had to look at that and tell what it was. Thanks for joining me. A little talking dogs before we get ready for Mississippi State's regional run here in Charlottesville. The Bulldogs had their batting practice, infield, outfield, all that stuff earlier today. We were able to talk to Chris Lemonis, pitcher Cal Steven, and also shortstop David Mershon to kind of get their thoughts about what's coming up this week. Mississippi State starting their run on Friday night, 6 p.m. against St. John. 6 p.m. your time. It's 7 p.m. local, so 6 p.m. Central. I assume most of you are Central Time Zone, so make sure you have that ready. ESPN Plus is on the subscriber side of things. If you're an ESPN Plus subscriber, then you should be able to see that. And if you're not, you're going to have to subscribe to watch this ball game tomorrow night. But I've been able to kind of watch all four teams today in batting practice. We've been here for a while now and get a good look at everybody for the most part. And pretty much different looking teams across the board. They all do a little something different. Virginia's probably got one of the best offenses in the country, definitely the best offense here at this regional. St. John's is a team, when you look at them on paper, and I know they were against the Big East, but this is the number one pitching staff in the Big East. They're third in fielding percentage, so their defense is really good. I think a .977 fielding percentage. And then their hitting is third in the league as well. So it's a team that really does everything pretty well. They pitch it probably better than anything. And then to hear Chris Lemonis talk about it, and he's played against this program many times when he was at Louisville as an assistant in the Big East. He calls this group a very scrappy group. They're going to grind out at bats. We're going to see some small ball from them. They're going to try to manufacture runs. Mississippi State's going to have to play really good defense. They're going to have to pitch it really well. And then offensively, this team has got to come out of it offensively. I know they had some good moments in the SEC tournament, but from a consistency standpoint on the offensive side of the ball, Mississippi State's been lacking a little bit. This is the regional that they need to come out here because you got Virginia down the pipe. You're probably going to have to beat Virginia to get through this regional, and you might have to play them twice. So, or even, maybe more than that. So you got to be able to do something offensively more consistently, and that, to me, centers on two guys. And you guys know who I'm going to talk about, Dakota Jordan and Hunter Hines. These are your two best hitters from a potential standpoint. You can argue, obviously, Connor Hyzak. I think he's in that group as well. I think you can probably put all three of those guys together because Connor Hyzak has been unbelievable this season. What he's meant to Mississippi State can't even be comprehended because without him, they struggled to finish the job. They didn't have him against Arkansas. They didn't have him against Missouri. If you have him in those games, I think that you win 2 or 3 more games in those 2 series, and you're probably hosting right now. You're probably at Starkville if you have Connor Hyzak. So, and then you look at what he did in the SEC tournament. He wins 2 ball games for you with the walk-off home run against Ole Miss and the 2-run single against Texas A&M in the 9th inning. So Connor Hyzak has been incredible. They need Dakota Jordan and Hunter Hines to get up to that spot. And we talked to Chris Lemonis about that. We talked to David Mershon too, and the whole team really rallies around those players, and they believe that they're going to be able to get out of this. But one of the things that Chris Lemonis said that really struck me when he was talking about those 2 guys is he told them, we don't need you to be perfect. We don't need you to go 10 for 12 in this series. They don't need to have a Adam Frazier type series like Adam Frazier had here in 2013. They just need them to have some good productive at-bats and see where the chips fall after that. If they're having good productive at-bats, I promise you those 2 guys are going to come out of this. And they didn't have those in Hoover. I thought Dakota Jordan had the big at-bat against Tennessee, and hopefully that was an at-bat that's going to get him out of this slump because you could kind of see it release from his body when he hit that single into left field and was able to bring home 2 runs. Mississippi State took the lead in that ball game against number 1 Tennessee. You kind of saw it. You kind of saw the relief, gave a fist pump, gave a yell back to the dugout. He needed that hit badly. And I thought Hunter Hines hit a couple balls on the screws in that game. Hopefully that game is going to be something that can get them out of it and they come in this regional and have a really good regional because Mississippi State needs it bad. They need those two guys to be tough to get through and not a huge hole in the lineup, because right now those guys are coming up in huge spots. And it seems like baseball does that, doesn't it? It seems like every time you have somebody struggling, the game finds them, whether that's in the field, at the plate, on the mound, I don't know. But it just seems like the game always finds those guys that are struggling. And that's kind of what we saw with Dakota Jordan and Hunter Hines. Every time they came up to bat, it seemed like in the SEC tournament, there were two guys on base. There was a guy in scoring position. The bases were loaded with nobody out or 2 outs or something like that. And that just puts so much pressure on you. And what these guys need more than anything is just to relax. And maybe this past week did that for them, that they were able to kind of get back to where they were. I think they took a couple of days off. Chris Lemonis said they went to church. They started praying. So hopefully that did that for this team, that they're able to reset and get into this regional and refocus and have a much more productive regional here if you're Hunter Hines and Dakota Jordan. That's the hope for Mississippi State, because if those two guys start getting hot with what they got on the mound with their starting pitching, because right now you feel like you got 4 guys that could potentially give you 5 innings or more, and they've shown that before. Cal Steven and Drangelo Sanger in almost every single game this year have given Mississippi State a quality start. Every time out, Mississippi State is in the ball game. Very rarely have they left a game and you felt like Mississippi State was getting destroyed or Mississippi State was going to lose the game. That's just how they've been. They've come out and they have really attacked opposing teams. Nothing has really bothered them. You know, Cal Steven, I talked to him today about that LSU game. 2 innings, 5 runs on 5 hits. Couldn't get out the second inning. And then we saw against Georgia Southern, I think it was, early in the year, gave up like 7 runs. Those are the 2 bad games he's had this year, but he refocused and really put together an incredible SEC run. Probably the second best starting pitcher in the SEC during conference play. You had, obviously, Hagen Smith, who's one of the best pitchers of the season. Then you have Cal Steven, in my opinion. I thought he had the second best season of any starting pitcher in the SEC this year. So Drangelo Sanger made a huge jump this season. One of the things Chris Lemonis said about Sanger was just the ability to bear down and really focus and not let a game unravel. That's been the most impressive thing about him this year, and that's noticeable. He hasn't been able to get knocked out. I mean, there's been a couple of games where teams have kind of knocked him around a little bit and they finally pulled the trigger on him, but very few games has he just completely unraveled out there. And we saw that a little bit when he was a freshman last year. He's really matured, and I give a lot of credit to Justin Parker for a lot of these guys. Cal Steven, Drangelo Sanger, Tyson Harden, Tyler Davis. These 4 guys are completely different pitchers than they were last year, and that includes Cal Steven at Purdue. He was a third-team All-Big Ten guy, but he had an over 5-run earned average. He got knocked around in several games, including against Ole Miss last year. He gave up 9 or 10 runs, 7 runs. I can't remember exactly what it was, but he had a rough outing against them, and he came out and shoved it against the Rebels this year. So Cal Steven is the guy you want on the mound. The question is always, who do you start in game 1 in these regionals? Cal Steven is the correct choice by Justin Parker and Chris Lemonis. You want to win this first game. You do not want to get in a loser's bracket and have to fight out of it here on the road in Charlottesville. You want to win this first one and then let the chips fall from there, because this is a team that, while I think the pitching is much better than 2017 and 2018 and those teams that got in a loser's bracket and had to come out of it and win those regionals, it's just so much easier to win a regional when you get that first one. So you get that first one, then you focus on game 2. And if you win this one tonight or Friday night or lose it, I think Drangelo Sanger is probably taking the mound for game 2 against Virginia or Penn, whoever that is. And you can't count out this Penn Quakers team. They beat Auburn in the first round last year, the regionals, and quite possibly could have won that regional. They got ahead 2-0 in that regional, if I'm not mistaken, and I think Southern Miss ended up coming back and winning it. But this is a team that a lot of these guys were on that team. It's not quite as dominant a team as they were last year in their conference, but they've still been in this before. And postseason experience is so key for teams that are trying to make a run. And Mississippi State doesn't have much of it at all. They have Tyler Davis and Connor Hyzak basically as their postseason guys. So this is new to a lot of guys, and you want to get this first game through. Let the regional jitters get out of your system. Find a way to win on Friday night and move on to game 2 and have a chance to advance into the winner's bracket. And when you win those first 2, the percentages of that team winning the regional are exponentially higher, as you would imagine, because when you get to that third game, you got to get beat twice. And the odds of Mississippi State getting beat back-to-back are tough. And you're looking at a team that whoever comes out of that loser's bracket, if Mississippi State does win, whoever comes out of it is a team that has already spent 3 days of pitching, and it's just going to be a lot tougher. Mississippi State has done it before. They did it in back-to-back seasons in 17 and 18 with a much worse pitching staff. So, we'll see what happens if they lose. But the best thing for Mississippi State is win on Friday night and go from there. So we'll see if they're able to do that. Cal Steven taking the mound. Like I said, that's the guy you want. I haven't seen St. John's pitcher just yet, but like I said, this team has pitched it extremely well, almost as good as Mississippi State. Their numbers are like percentage points behind Mississippi State. They are 16th in the country in ERA. Mississippi State's 12th. So Mississippi State's played much tougher competition, but ERA is still a pretty strong indicator when you play this many games that you're going to be able to pitch it pretty well. So I expect this team to pitch it well. I think for Mississippi State, I don't foresee Mississippi State being awful in this regional on the mound. There's been too much evidence for this team across the season that they're going to pitch it and defend it pretty well. To me, it all comes down to this offense. Can this offense bust out in this regional and have a really big regional? That makes all the difference for Mississippi State. If they're able to do that, then it's game on for this team. If they can make it out of this regional, this offense is starting to get heated up. The pitching is what it is. This is a team that can do a whole lot of damage, and we'll see if they're able to do that. I'm going to be here providing content as long as Mississippi State's here. We got a ton of stories popping up on the website today on Maroon and White Daily, so make sure you're over there checking that out. Please subscribe to this channel. I'd really appreciate it. We're closing in on 500 subscribers, which is just incredible. You guys have been great to get this YouTube channel up started, and my goal is 1,000 by the middle of football season, so we'll see if we're able to do that. But we're off to a great start, and it's all because of you guys, and I appreciate that. If you aren't subscribed, please do that. It costs you nothing. It just alerts you every time that I've got a new video coming up. We got Talking Dogs. I've got all the post-game and pre-game press conferences here for you that you can watch. I think we can do post-game. I'll check on that tomorrow. We'll have a different setting for that, but I do have the comments from Chris Lamonis and also Cal Steven and David Mershon already up on the YouTube channel that you can view right now. And don't forget to subscribe to our page. Today, Paul Jones is back on campus. He's covering Top Dog Camp, so plenty of content coming from that. We'll have a live thread that's going to keep you up to date on everything going on for Jeff Lebby and company at Top Dog Camp. He's got his hands full. Doesn't have two people there to kind of do that coverage. So Paul's got his hand full on that, but he's a pro. He knows what to do, and he will have you covered on that. So make sure you're subscribed today so you can check that out. Go subscribe to us right now. We got plenty of content coming from that. Appreciate you guys. Hope you guys have a great rest of the week. We'll see what the Dogs can do. Hopefully I'm here for a little bit, and Mississippi State continues to win. Win or lose, we'll be back to talk about the game if I have a place to set up. I have a makeshift tripod here. It's some kind of baseball bat contraption with a fish bowl on top of it filled with koozies. I've infiltrated one of the boxes in here, and I forgot my tripod, so I made sure I found something that could get us through the 15 minutes or so that I'm doing this. So I appreciate you guys for bearing with me. All right, subscribe, and make sure you're following me for coverage for the rest of the week. Appreciate y'all.